Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Room of Requirement. My name is Megan, and I have over 25 years of occult and esoteric research and practice, and I wanted to talk about the stages of spirituality. So a lot of people usually will start out in the occult world and then eventually go esoteric. Some people have a traditional Christian background and then they start getting into New Age spirituality. So it's kind of different for everyone. So my story was I started out Wiccan, and then I went Buddhist, and then I went into ceremonial magic, and then now I'm just, into mysticism, Gnosticism, all those different things. So let's just go ahead and jump right in. So there's various different stages to spirituality or your spiritual awakening on your path. Like I said, everybody's journey is different, and people don't realize how hard it is when you're going down a spiritual path, all the different stages that you go through, and it doesn't go like all in a row. So what I'm going to show you here is it's not going to be like cookie cutter for everyone. Some people will start in stage 3 and then move their way forward from previous knowledge from past lives and stuff like that. So if you're deep on a spiritual path, more than likely you have already done it in previous lifetimes, and then now you're just remembering something that you already know. Okay. So the stages of spirituality. Spirituality is a deeply personal and transformative journey that many individuals embark on in search of greater meaning, connection, and fulfillment. Although personal experiences may vary, there are several common stages of spirituality that individuals often go through. Understanding these stages can provide insight and guidance for those on their spiritual path. First is the awakening. The awakening stage is often the first step in a person's spiritual journey. The stage involves a shift in consciousness where individuals begin to question their life, purpose, and existence. It can be triggered by a significant life event, such as a loss, a profound experience, or even a simple moment of clarity. During this stage, individuals may feel a strong urge to explore new beliefs and practices. The second stage is exploration, research, and seeking. So I spent quite a bit of years in this stage, trying to figure out exactly what it is that I want, the path that I wanted to go down. And I ended up on so many different paths. And sometimes you can get, really lost in the weeds. And when you start going down, for instance, the occult path, you're going to run into conspiracy theories and, paranormal and UFOlogy and all kinds of different things. And even I got lost in the weeds there for a while with all of that stuff. A lot of people, once they get a little bit deeper on their path, then they will start to get into the conspiracy stuff and all of that. And that's fine. I went through that stage at one point too, but then I quickly realized that, all of those things for me, it wasn't where it was at. It wasn't giving me the answers. All it led to was more questions, right? So that is another thing that you're going to run into is a lot of this, exploration, seeking, research is going to leave you with just more questions than anything. But there is light at the end of the tunnel, no pun intended. You will get there eventually. But just know, everyone's path is different. And just because you're doing those things doesn't mean you're wrong. I wouldn't trade anything in the world for how I got to where I'm at. It made me who I am, and it gave me a more well-rounded perspective when it comes to spirituality. Okay, so in the stage, once awakened, individuals enter the exploration stage. This is a time of seeking and learning where people are open to discovering new ideas, philosophies, and spiritual practices. They may read books, attend workshops, or join groups to broaden their understanding of spirituality. During this stage, individuals are curious and eager to find what resonates with them personally. The next stage is integration and reintegration. So why I said reintegration is because when you start incorporating things, you'll do some things for quite a while, or at least I did, and then I'll try something different and then integrate that, and then I will combine practices and all of that. So I'm a little bit kind of more hardcore than most people. I will try anything and everything to see how it works. I once put myself through like a 6-month sleep study so that I could remember my dreams, like for instance, just things like that. So you're going to go through stages where you'll do some things, add, take things away. And I think that that's where the growth really lies, is combining different things that work for you. Okay, so the integration stage involves incorporating newfound spiritual insights and practices into daily life. Here, individuals begin to apply what they have learned, creating a harmonious balance between their spiritual beliefs and everyday activities. This stage is marked by a growing sense of inner peace and alignment as individuals strive to live authentically according to their spiritual values. And this will change over and over and over again until you finally settle on something. And then you'll do that for a while. And then you will eventually go through the dark night of the soul stage. I've had at least probably 3 or 4 of those, and moments where everything I thought I knew, I didn't know anything. And then I would restart over again. So I'm probably on my 4th time of that happening. In the last month, I'm going through that stage again. So just be aware that those things will happen, and that's completely normal. And don't think that you've fallen back or you're making a mistake or you're doing the wrong thing. The whole point of all of this is for you to learn and grow and expand and transform. So it's going to feel like you're backsliding, like 2 steps forward, 3 back, 3 steps forward, 2 back. Like it's going to feel like that. Just know that when you start feeling that, that's where you're about to have a huge awakening or upgrade in your consciousness when that starts happening. I remember getting so mad, and I thought, maybe I'm not meditating long enough. Maybe I'm not doing yoga enough. Maybe I'm not doing this or that. And I would get really frustrated because I wouldn't feel that connection with the divine like I usually felt. And so I realized over time that what was actually happening was I was actually expanding and growing. And that's why I would go through these stages. Sometimes it would be days, sometimes it would be weeks, sometimes it would be a couple of months where I would feel completely disconnected from the divine. And you're not in a void space. What's happening is actually you're restructuring after integration, and then you are going to experience a huge upgrade. So don't let that get you down. Okay, then the stage after that is transformation and ongoing rebirths. Okay. In the transformation stage, individuals experience profound personal growth and change. This stage is characterized by a deepening connection to their spiritual essence and a commitment to personal development. People often find themselves shedding old patterns, beliefs, and behaviors that no longer serve them, leading to a greater self-awareness and empowerment. So this is where you're going to start to feel really lonely, like no one understands, and you can't possibly explain it to them. These experiences are completely subjective and require a foundational knowledge others don't possess. A lot of the time, this has happened to me many, many times with friends and family. This can be frustrating, and it could lead to ego reemergence or backsliding. So what I mean by that is you're going to feel lonely to a point where you think that nobody understands you. You're going to feel kind of outcasted. And you will hear people say, like, if you're on the spiritual path, that the higher you ascend, the more people fall away and out of your life. And that's what they're talking about, is just that, it can get really frustrating. And then you feel bad because that's happening, and you start feeling like you're leaving people out. And so you start clinging to people and things and places that you used to for fear of hurting someone's feelings or letting someone go or something go. Just know this is totally normal, and it's part of the process. And, you've also heard, I'm sure, that, it's really lonely the higher you go and all of that stuff. And that's what they mean by that. It's not that you've completely outgrown them to that point. It's more of you're just kind of at an understanding level that they're not at yet. And so, you kind of just rise above them, and it's painful, and you're going to experience loss and grief and all of these different things. And it's harder with family because you can't really get away from family. So there's going to come a point where you're going to have to learn to accept that they're where they're at and you are where you were at, and not compromise your integrity when dealing with them. That's another thing that a lot of people don't talk about, is compromising that and kind of having to come down to their level a little bit. And I don't mean that like in a negative way. It's just, you're going to have to put on a couple of different faces around different people, so that you don't completely shut them out. There's like a really fine line balance there with this. And the more you do it, the longer you're on this path, the more you'll understand what I'm talking about. And it's not that you're trying to be inauthentic or fake. It's just that if you're, over at your family's house and you're the only one that's, deep on this path, you can't just start spouting off all this knowledge. They won't understand it. You can try to explain it to them, and that's fine. And if they understand it, great. Or if they want to know more and you can talk about it, awesome. But more than likely, that's not going to be the case. Okay, this is completely normal, so don't worry about it. Okay, then the stage after that is surrender and acceptance. Okay, so the surrender stage involves letting go of control and trusting in a higher power or the natural flow of life. Individuals in this stage recognize they are not separate from the universe and embrace a sense of unity with all things. So this is getting very Christ consciousness. This is getting really Gnostic, the things that I'm talking about. This stage often bridges a heightened sense of peace, acceptance, and gratitude as individuals learn to trust the process of life. So what I noticed, and the biggest thing that I did not expect, so I didn't have a super religious background. Like while I went straight. My family wasn't religious at all, so I didn't have to deconstruct. But I remember in the beginning I was very like anti-Christian establishment, because I like went straight into the occult world because that's where, I found my resonance. And so for a long time, I wouldn't even accept any of that stuff. And I found that now that I'm at this level of knowledge and understanding, it's all come full circle. And I understand it for what it really is. And there really is a lot of good information and knowledge and practice in all religions and all faiths and all practices. I pretty much at this point combine Buddhism, Hinduism, Gnosticism, Orthodox Christianity, all of that stuff. So when I started practicing ceremonial or high magic, this is basically astrotheurgy or energy manipulation according to angelic beings and planetary beings. I started to really get exposed to the Christian theology at that point. And I was really resistant at first, and then I started to accept it more because I started to understand it on a deeper level. Now, years later, looking back, I realize that it's all come full circle again. And I can't really explain exactly how this feels to someone who hasn't really felt it yet, but it's just like I've come to this acceptance and surrender that there is a higher power, and that you have to surrender and communicate with the divine on that level. And it doesn't have to be super churchy, if you see what I mean. And that also, if you're in an occult community and you start to do that and you start to say those things and you start to go down that road of like Christ consciousness and believing in God and all of these things, you're going to get a lot of flack. I did when I started, speaking like this. So once you get past this level, you're like, you have to be careful around the different communities that you've been in the past, because they just don't understand yet. And so what I mean by this and what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that you're going to go all super religious. That's not what I'm saying either. It's just that you're going to understand it to the point where you can integrate it and accept that there is just one and the all, the creator, God, Buddha, Krishna, Yeshua, whatever you want to call it. It's all one big super conscious, collective conscious, creator. It's all one thing, and that you are a part of it, and it is a part of you. And so once you start getting to this point, you'll understand this on a deeper level. But I just wanted to let you know, if you're already there, then you'll understand what I'm saying. And I never even thought in a million years that I would even be saying this. But, you know, I have added communication and prayer with the divine to my practice, and it has exponentially increased my connection with the divine in that way. I would highly recommend reading the Bhagavad Gita, and this explains it very well through Hinduism. But okay, so then towards the end, you're going to hit this one stage where you hit the stage of service. And so there's a kicker to this too, though, because this is where ego can kind of start to emerge back in. So the final stage is of service. It is characterized by desire to give back and make a positive impact on the world. Individuals in this stage often feel called to share their wisdom and compassion with others, whether through acts of kindness, volunteer work, or mentorship. This stage reflects a deep understanding that true spirituality involves contributing to the greater good. So each person's spiritual journey is unique, and individuals may revisit or experience these stages in different orders or intensities. Regardless of the path, the journey of spirituality is an enriching process that leads to greater self-discovery and understanding. A lot of people get lost in the weeds in this stage. This is where karma understanding comes into play. So ego will also rear its head again in many forms. This is also where a lot of discernment starts to form as well. People-pleasing can become an issue on and off, and realizations of personal discernment are made. So what I mean by that is, say you start doing acts of service, and you're in a group of people, and then your ego will pop in and say, yeah, I'm doing this, but that person isn't doing anything, and I'm doing all the good, and they're not. And then so that is coming from ego. So your acts of service need to be done with complete discernment and for the right reasons. That's where karma comes back in, and the ego can pop in and out. So just be wary of this too. Just always try to operate from the standpoint of doing things authentically and for the right reasons. I hope this has really helped you guys. I would love to hear the comments below. What stages you think you've been through or at, or which ones you've bounced back and forth in. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say on this. So, all right, guys, I will see you next time. Bye.